In a village where the trees remember every name, lived a young hunter named Ekon, fearless, proud, unstoppable. Every path he walked, every journey he took, the forest tried to teach him lessons. But pride has a way of turning wisdom into regret. Tonight, you will see what happens when courage meets arrogance, and the forest decides it's time for the hunter to learn. Too late. Come closer, my children, come closer. The night is deep, and the wind carries stories older than your grandfather's. Look how the fire dances. See its bright tongue licking the dark sky. That is how stories live. They burn inside us, even when the night grows cold. Tonight, I will tell you of Ekon, the young hunter of our village. Ekon, whose name meant strength, whose spirit meant fire. He was brave, yes, perhaps too brave, for he believed every path led to his victory until one path taught him otherwise. So listen well, for in every hunt of Ekon's life there was a lesson, but lessons ignored are like footprints in rain, gone before the morning comes. It all began in the quiet village of Obanla, where the red sun kisses the forest each evening, and the elders say the trees remember every name spoken beneath them. Ekon was not like the other young men. While others still feared the rustle of the forest, he walked through its heart as though he owned it. His bow was carved from Iroka wood, his arrows tipped with sharpened stone. The elders said the spirits must have blessed his eyes, for no antelope ever escaped once Ekon's gaze found it. The people of Obanla praised him. Ekon, the mighty hunter, they shouted when he returned from the bush. Mothers offered him yam and palm wine. Children followed him with wide eyes, dreaming of being like him one day. But pride, my children, pride is a quiet drumbeat that grows louder when you feed it. And Ekon was listening to that drum more than to the voice of wisdom. The old men warned him, Ekon, no man conquers the forest. We only borrow its kindness. But Ekon only smiled, tapping his chest. The forest knows my name, he said. It fears me. Ah, but the forest never fears, my children. It only waits. And for every man who hunts without humility, the forest keeps a lesson waiting among its trees. One season, when the rains had just ended, Ekon set out on his first great hunt alone. The forest shimmered with life, the leaves still wet, the air full of songs of hidden creatures. He moved like a shadow, confident, proud. Hours passed. He saw the tracks of a great antelope, fresh, promising. He followed step by step. But as the sun climbed higher, he grew restless. This animal plays games, he muttered. I will chase it faster. He rushed through the thickets, snapping branches, scaring away the very prey he saw. By dusk, his quiver was still full, his stomach empty. That night, hungry and alone under the dark canopy, he heard the whisper of the forest. The wind seemed to say, the forest gives only to those who wait. But Ekon only frowned, blaming bad luck. He returned home with nothing but excuses. The elders only shook their heads. Even the leopard waits in silence before it leaps, one said softly. But Ekon did not listen. His heart beat too loud with pride to hear the forest's gentle voice. Months later, Ekon ventured again, determined to prove himself. Deep in the forest, he heard a strange cry, not of prey, but of pain. He found a small gazelle caught in a hunter's trap. Its eyes were wide with terror, its leg bleeding. He raised his bow, but the animal did not move. It only trembled, staring into his eyes. "You are weak," he whispered. "The strong survive." But something in its gaze made his fingers tremble. For a brief moment he saw himself, young, trapped by his own pride. He lowered his bow, hesitated, then turned away, leaving the creature to its fate. Behind him, the wind sighed through the trees like a disappointed spirit. That night, he dreamt of the same gazelle, standing tall and radiant, whispering, "Strength is not in the hand that kills, but in the heart that spares." He woke in sweat but shook his head. "Dreams are for children," he muttered, and so another lesson passed him by like smoke in the wind. In time, fortune smiled again. Acon brought down a great boar after days of pursuit. The villagers rejoiced, dancing, praising his skill. But Acon forgot the spirits who guided his arrow, forgot to thank the earth that carried his steps, forgot even to share his meat with the old and hungry. He feasted with pride, laughing loud. "I am the greatest hunter Obanla will ever know," he declared. But the next morning his meat had spoiled, crawling with flies though the night had been cool. The elders whispered that the spirits had turned their backs. Still, Acon laughed. "Let the spirits starve if they wish. I feed myself." He did not see how the old women stopped blessing his name, or how the forest grew quieter whenever he entered its shade. One day, as the dry season approached, the oldest hunter, Babanuru, called Acon aside. "My son," he said, "the forest speaks in many voices. Some you hear, some you feel." But Acon only smiled. "The forest speaks with silence when I hunt, old man." Babanuru frowned. "Then listen closely next time. For silence is not always peace." On his next hunt, Acon ignored the sudden quiet, the missing songs of birds, and the strange chill that touched his neck. He did not see the warning of the forest spirits, the white owl watching him from above, the whisper of leaves that said, "Not this path." When he loosed his arrow, it struck not an antelope, but a shadow that vanished into the air. The forest shuddered, and even the wind held its breath. But Acon laughed again. "Fear me, even spirits run from my aim." The trees said nothing. Only the owl blinked once and flew away into the night. When the rains returned, Acon went hunting with 3 young men who wished to learn from him. "Follow me," he boasted. "You will see how the forest bows to Acon." They watched him track a great buffalo. He raised his bow, released, and the arrow missed. The buffalo turned, roaring, and charged. The boys ran. Acon stumbled, fell, and only escaped because one of them, a quiet boy named Tay, pulled him aside. Breathing hard, Acon stared at the boy. "You saved me?" "We save each other," Tay answered gently. For a moment, shame warmed Acon's chest. But by the time they returned to the village, the shame had cooled into pride again. "The beast was too big," he told the crowd. The old men only sighed. "The proud man's mouth is a drum that calls trouble." In Obanla, there was one rule every hunter knew. Never hunt beyond the river Ari, where the spirits of the ancestors roamed. But Acon's pride had grown larger than his fear. "The spirits will not stop me," he said. "Perhaps they will learn to fear me as well." One moonless night, he crossed the dark river. The water was cold as bone. The forest beyond was silent, too silent. The trees here were older, their bark pale like ash. Strange lights flickered between the roots. He heard voices that were not wind. Still, he walked deeper. When he saw the largest antelope he had ever laid eyes on, his heart pounded. he drew his bow. The animal turned its golden eyes toward him and spoke softly, "Acon, do you still not listen?" His arrow flew straight through light and into nothing. The forest roared like thunder. The ground trembled. The voice of Baba Nuru echoed in his memory. Silence is not always peace. But it was too late. The spirits had awakened. The forest turned against him. Roots rose like snakes. Shadows chased him through endless trees. He ran until dawn, but dawn never came. Every lesson he had ignored returned like a voice in the wind. Patience, the whisper of leaves. Compassion, the cry of a wounded gazelle. Gratitude, the echo of spoiled meat. Listening, the white owl's silent flight. Humility, the boy's hand pulling him from death. One by one, the voices circled him until he fell to his knees. "I hear you now," he shouted. "I understand." The forest grew still, and from the mist stepped the golden-eyed spirit again. "Acon," it said, "understanding is good, but timing is everything." The ground opened, soft as sand, and the forest swallowed him whole. When the wind rose again, only his bow remained, broken, half buried in the earth. "And so," he said softly, "the forest never forgot Acon." On quiet nights, when the wind moves through the tall grass, some say it is his spirit still wandering, whispering the lessons he learned too late. Remember this, my children, strength without patience is blindness. Skill without compassion is emptiness. Gratitude feeds the soul more than any feast. And the one who refuses to listen will one day beg to be heard. Acon hunted for meat. The forest hunted for his heart. "Now go," he said, "and carry his lesson wherever your feet may wander."